Hello.
Hello. We actually got a rare Dave hello before I even said anything. You guys hear that? It was like the call of a rare bird.
Hello.
It was very sexy as well. So Sean actually told us, I guess, to go ahead and start recording because we were meandering on a topic that everybody's going to be interested in, which is, of course, more Dave. And just before we go on to what that topic is, I'll let you guys know that today's topic is a Dave run topic on, on reworking an old project. So you asked for more Dave.
It's a Dave.
You get a Dave, and you get Dave.
Guys,
and you get Dave.
do you guys want?
There's a Dave under every seat if he could fit.
Do you guys want to
Imagine that auditorium?
Do you think we could sell more tickets to Smart Artist Summit or Dave-a-Palooza? If we did a Dave-a-Palooza and just like Dave, we just acknowledged that he was the focus.
We should have competing events.
I would like to have a Dave-a-Palooza. Dude, do you know what?
We rent out a venue that has two halls connected to one another so people can kind of go back and forth.
It's kind of like the introvert room, except that nothing is in there but hate.
Oh, it's all wallpapered in black. Yeah. So I was Haley was listening to the episode of Worst Show Ever the other day. We were
what?
Yeah, it was reasonably safe. It was the one where you have no faith in humanity. It's locked cars, and we're talking about the vision.
It wasn't like the one we're going to record today, which she's not going to be allowed to listen to until she's 35.
What's that one?
Well, we already had some topics proposed, which was we had two that I noted. You guys don't remember either of them?
I don't remember either of them, no.
It was just a few days ago, guys. You made me write it down. You said we were going to talk about a Serbian film and porn on planes. That's going to be the episode title.
Okay, well then, yeah, she won't be able to hear that one. But we did. I pick up her and her friend from this art thing that she does on Tuesdays and Thursday nights, and we listened to that episode.
You made a friend listen? What if she listens to today's episode?
Because she's even okay. So Dave's stories.
I love how far we are from the actual discussion point that we were going to have.
Dave's stories are not only a special thing in my family and Johnny's family, they're a special thing with my children's friends. Right?
We're starting a new holiday.
So anyway, the whole point of this is that at the end of that episode is where we get the idea of hiring Daves for birthday parties. Like instead of a clown, you hire a Dave.
I'd be dressed as a clown if you pay me enough.
No. I don't want a clown. I want a Dave. I want a big fat bearded guy to slap cookies out of children's hands and worry about bears. Like it would just be the best.
Like Santa Claus, but I don't want you anywhere near my lap, you dirty, filthy child.
Well, like Santa Claus, but with a bag full of hate.
Yeah, okay.
So are we going to get to anything publishing related?
All right. So Dave, why don't you talk? Do you?
Okay. So here's what I said. I said, how are things going? If you don't know this story.
Wait, Dave can use this for his something cool is my suggestion, because it is something cool.
Oh, okay. So I'll prompt Dave something cool. So in case you guys don't know this story, the most paranoid guy ever was not paranoid enough to sufficiently back up and had a hardware crash. So you lost how much, Dave? Like 30,000 words worth of stuff?
I don't know. It was 2 weeks, I think, worth of work. So whatever
that was, but 2 weeks where you were like in flow and hitting 3K a day, right?
And so I asked, how's it going since you had to basically start over? And this is where Sean said, stop. People are going to want to know this.
Okay. So yeah, I started over and it's going well. There's some points that I'm having to flesh out, like parts that I hadn't gotten to, and I need to figure out because the beats are a good general thing, but there's some very like law specific things that I've been getting hung up on. So I've had to make phone calls and I've had to change story because of that. So there's a little bit of that going on, but not as much as typically happens in a book. So I'm feeling great about it and I'm enjoying writing it. And like I wake up every day and like look forward to the story that I'm going to write, which is.
Have you ever woken up every day looking forward to anything before?
Anything ever?
No, not even when I was a kid did I look forward to anything.
Do you ever look forward to not looking forward to things? Do you ever look forward to hating the day?
No.
No?
It kind of happens naturally.
Okay.
Well, just on this end, it's been really kind of amazing to watch Dave. Like every time I'm asking him, how's it going? great. And I've just in our entire working relationship, I've never seen that, especially for that long a period of time. Yeah, it's really, really awesome to see. So basically everybody, if Dave can 10x and get happy, you can too. Like, this is poster child for.
And something, an interesting side note, in the past month, like I had eczema on my fingers for like the past year and a half or so. Like 3 or 4 fingers on each hand would just break out horribly, and it was just horrible. The whole past month, I didn't have it at all. My fingers are completely normal. Although this week it started to creep up again on one of the fingers, but I don't know if it's a stress thing or what. But for the past month, I was feeling good. Even during the whole time my computer crashed, it was fine.
Yeah, I'm sure stress has a lot to do with that. And I think you're carrying stress in 2 ways. I think you're carrying stress for many ways, actually. For yourself, like, I want to deliver this. Like, Available Darkness was really hard for you, and you were in a dark place and you couldn't deliver. And so you're feeling guilty that you're not delivering to your fans, you're not delivering to me or the company, and that's just beating up on you. And now you have this project where it's going smoothly, and there's a part of your brain that is seeing the end of that, like, and what it means for you and for your family and for the company and for Collective Inkwell, and it's just giving you hope. And I know you say no good can come from hope, but
I think part of it was your response, because when my computer crashed and I lost everything, like, I was putting us behind, and you didn't remind me of that, and you're kind of like, we'll get back on it, and you didn't say, okay, well, now we got this amount of time. So because you didn't do that, like, it didn't, like, if you had done that, you're like, oh fuck, now we're never gonna get done. You don't do that, but if you had, I just would have fallen apart. So thank you for that.
You're well. I know what
I know managing me is like a diva. It's like, okay, I can't remind him of this. I can't do that.
Managing you is a chunk of my job for sure. But it is nice to see, like,
it's worth it though.
That the stress go away, because stress is terrible. I get really bad rashes on my wrists when I'm stressed, and it's usually
weird. We both get something on our hands.
Jeez, I wonder why that is.
And it's usually
friction burns.
It's usually when I travel, I'll get it, because traveling, like, it is a little stressful. It does give me a little bit of anxiety, and then I get back, and there's always like a week or 2 where I break out, and then it goes away. Or when I have just too much on my plate and it's sick. But yeah, you've got to eliminate that stress. I think that any writer who's trying to deal with stress and just dealing with it by doing more and getting more stuff done is doing a disservice to themselves. It's almost like you have to take a step back and reevaluate so that you can get rid of the stress and go in clear, and then you'll go faster.
See, Amy said, I love that Dave's worst case scenario is a version of Sean that will never exist. But that's the thing. Like, I feel bad, like, when I don't deliver. Like, I feel worse when I don't deliver to somebody that's, not expecting as much than I would if I was not delivering to somebody that was like a taskmaster. Somebody like that, I would almost justify, like, oh, fuck them. but because Sean isn't like that, I feel worse, and I beat myself up even worse about it. So it kind of all works out, I guess.
Most things do eventually. I mean, in my world, not yours, just to be clear. Johnny, you have anything cool?
Well, sort of, but I don't know if I really want to do it because it's kind of a spoiler. It's actually an anti-something cool. It's a character thing that we talked about from Parenthood. But I think that's a really... Okay, let's just say... I'm going to try and not give a spoiler here, because if you happen to not want that show spoiled, then just... I don't want to spoil it. But
I was dying for Johnny to see this part of the show for like last year or so.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna try not to actually spoil it by giving details. But this has been on my mind a lot in terms of character, because we're in the middle of watching this show every night. Robin and I watch an episode of Parenthood, and Sean's like, okay, there's a storyline in season 5 that just makes me so angry and irritated, and I'm curious to see if it irritates you. And so I said, well, don't tell me what it is, and we'll see. And so I watched it, and both of us, Robin and I, think it's terrible. And as a matter of fact, I hadn't even told her that Sean said be on the lookout for a storyline. She was just like, this storyline sucks. And I said, this is the one Sean told me about, I'm sure. And it just has to do with a character doing something that's so incredibly not true to the character that we learned. And so, like I said, this is kind of an anti something cool. I know I gave a character thing.
No, it is something cool because you get to learn. Like this, just don't ever do this because it pisses your fans off.
Right. It's a promise was made to the viewers by the writers originally with this character, and he was a certain kind of guy, and now he's doing something that you're just like, whether you like what's occurring or not, like in and of itself, like this is occurring, that's separate from, it just doesn't make sense with the character. Like it just doesn't vibe at all with the character. And so your characters need to be consistent because you as the writer can't decide you want something to happen. So you're going to shoehorn something in and make a character do something that's not true to themselves. And that's something you need to keep in mind. I actually thought of this today because I was writing a launch email for the one with all the writing advice, which is our friends-based writing book, which is coming out on the 1st of November.
Not for you, Logan. Stay
Not
away.
for Logan. The launch email actually contains Logan references. Just
awesome! I'm excited to read that.
But it's, we talk about in terms of patterns in that, like with the show that we did on this, we talked about patterns and how viewers/readers have patterns that they're responding to, whether they even realize it themselves or not. Like you make a promise and then there's a pattern that's triggered, and then you as the writer have to deliver on the promise. And this is a case where they did not deliver on the promise. We were set up to expect one thing and the character did something else. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I think that it's a betrayal, right? Like if you
a
love
betrayal
a character,
of the viewers by the writers, basically.
Yeah, which is sin number 1. But sin number 2 is that if you're paying attention at all, if you normally watch things and you look at it critically, you don't even have to be a writer to see this. I would have noticed this before I wrote, that you can just clearly see the writer's hand there. Like, oh, they had to have this thing happen, so let's just completely destroy what we've already established this character to be about. And that's just terrible. So anyway, my something cool is also about a certain thing happening in season 5 of a TV show, coincidentally. And it's
Dexter.
No, it's Dexter season 5 is the worst. Except for season 6. Season 6 is actually worse than season 5. No, it's Homeland. And in Homeland season 5, there's this thing that Carrie has to figure out. Carrie's the main character. And in the first couple seasons, you see her go off like she's crazy, like she's bipolar. And she goes off her meds because she can just see connections when she's not dulling herself. But she's also like kind of a horrible person and lashes out at people and says just really ugly things. And the thing that I love in season 5 that they've done is that there's this big puzzle that she has to try and figure out. She has to put it together. And she determines that the only way to actually figure this out is to go off her meds. And I love that as a plot device because we've already seen how bad that's going to be. And it's one of those classic situations of there's no good choice here. There's no good choice. Like she's either doesn't get the puzzle solved and her life and the world is in jeopardy because the stakes are so high, or she's off her meds and no good can come from that. And so I really love that type of narrative because it grabs the reader or the viewer by the throat and just says, okay, it's either going to be bad or worse, but no matter what, it's going to be exciting.
Homeland's interesting in that it's one of those shows that like it started off really well and then it kind of wasn't good. And I was like, why am I watching? But I'm not going to stop. But then it got good again. That rarely happens that a show finds itself again.
Yeah, I agree. Normally you have the Dexter trajectory, right? Where it just like season 4 just was fantastic, and then 5, 6, 7, 8 worse, right? Mm-hmm. And so Homeland, I agree. I thought the problem was that Brody was there too long, right? And it just got stretched out. But season 4, I thought season 4 was fantastic. I loved season 4, and we just started season 5, and I thought that's really cool development. So anyway,
yeah, I think the Brody thing was. I think I don't remember if I read this or if I'm just guessing here, pulling it up my ass. I had a feeling that he wasn't going to be long term, but he was such a good actor and people really liked him on the show that they couldn't get rid of him. Like, so they had to find a way to keep him in it, and it just didn't. It felt forced.
Yeah, no, that's very true. I did read that, and I read that. I think you actually sent me an article about this a couple of years ago.
I don't remember half the shit.
So they were going to kill Brody off at the end of season 2. which made
That would
sense.
have been perfect.
But then they didn't have the balls to do it. So that whole season 3 just felt off, like it was unnecessary. Right. So anyway,
there you go.
I think it's
so.
Up to you,
Is there? Did? Am I just not paying attention again? Dave, Dave's something cool was the writing thing. Okay, that's why I was confused. I actually have an additional something cool, which serves as a something to be aware of, and that is that a certain event, which I won't name, is now almost 2/3 sold out.
Is it Dave-a-Palooza?
I'll just leave it and I'll walk away. Dave, what event would you say it would be a crisis if it sold out entirely before you were able to attend it? I saw AVN's Adult Video News in the chat there. Other than that, of course, if you were to miss it because it sold out.
If for me personally, or people in general?
People in general, because you hate everything. This would also be something that you might need to be darted and dragged to.
Yeah, probably. Especially let's see November how that goes. That would probably be the Smarter Artist Summit.
That would be the Smarter Artist Summit, and I just got a mental image of Sean and I on stage, and then we go, "David, Wright, everybody!" And then they're dragging you through like one of those nets where they get game.
They're gonna lure me with a picnic basket.
Picnic basket. There's extra syllables in that word. Amy did remind me, well, she reminded everybody, I guess, that this episode will air in like a month, and they're going kind of like a certain flat breakfast food.
Wow.
So it does seem like who knows, maybe it'll be sold out by then. But there are 86 tickets left as of right now, and I'm sure.
Do you think if Hitler was alive, he would want to come to the Smart Artist Summit?
Of course, he was a great artist, wasn't he? I heard. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember if I've seen his art, but you hear that about him.
He was an artist, and he was clearly a smart guy, even though he was a monster.
Controversial sort of gentleman. No, Hitler will not be there, but do you want to know who?
There will be a lot of artists like Hitler there, though.
Wow.
Just transition right away.
It will be like the master race of artists, all in one place.
Oh, stop. All in caps. Stop. Our guests will include our speakers will include Jenna Sword, expert on branding, like author branding. She worked with Nike on the
Live
Strong campaign.
Do any of our guest speakers believe in like eugenics to create the perfect artist?
No, but we do have one with a fantastic Irish accent.
Okay, all right.
And that would be David Gogren. It is. So, and David will be there. You may have heard of that guy, Calvin Chenier. I hope I'm pronouncing that right because we haven't actually gotten a clarification. We keep saying it. He's going to be talking about
Calvin.
Calvin
Hobbs will be there.
We should have Dave grow his beard out, and then we could have a beard off between Dave, David, and
Gogren wins because he doesn't have gray in his beard yet. I don't think so.
That doesn't matter.
I don't like. I hate that. That's why I shave my beard because I don't like that. And I can't quite do that whole just for men thing. Like it just feels weird.
What's Calvin talking about? Is he talking about finance and business for writers? I say.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's a very important topic.
And then Christine is going to talk about marketing. Like, by the way, if you missed the framing on this other one, on the episode we did about this, these are people that we go to for our advice. So these are the people that we feel you need to know. Christine, who you've seen many times seen us talk about, and she's going to be talking about marketing and funnels and all that stuff. Clark Chamberlain, our developmental editor.
Fisting funnels demonstration.
Maybe Clark will talk about the fisting funnels. He's got the velvet voice for it. And of course, a gentleman named Chris Fox, who you may know, is going to be speaking as well. And it is, hold on, I got to do my due diligence here. I got to let you guys know. April 26th and 27th, 2017 in Austin, Texas. And you can go to smarterartistsummit.com. Nothing to lose. Well, okay, there's a lot to lose.
Yo, what are you talking about?
I don't know. So that's it. smarterartistsummit.com. And when they're gone, they're gone. Unfortunately, there's only so many seats. So there you go.
If you want to meet me in person, there's your only one opportunity because I don't go out in public much.
So does that mean there is no possibility of a Dave-a-Palooza?
No, there is. You just don't want to peer at it.
You'll be without me. Only if you all hold it and redacted, that would be awesome. You
It's
all
not going to
come
happen,
me,
dude. It's
motherfucker.
not going to
You
happen.
come to me.
Look, you cannot spend 92% of your time bitching about where you live and then ask us to hold an event there. It just doesn't work
Near
that
me,
way.
not in my town, obviously, because I don't want people to know where I live, but somewhere within,
You hate your entire state.
I'm sure there's somewhere here you can hold it that's decent.
No.
So today's topic is reworking an old project, I believe, right? So I actually don't know a ton about what you guys did with this one. I certainly have our stories of reworking an old project.
Yeah, well,
but
I think this is
more Dave, everybody.
Well, no, this is pretty global, actually. I mean, we have stuff that we've reworked, so we could definitely add to this, and stuff that we're planning to rework a little bit later. But it's also like we've seen it. We've seen it from our audience. You know, we have someone in the apprentice program who is like reworking their entire old catalog one at a time. They're taking like 50,000 word books and expanding them to 130,000 words, which is an entirely different product. So I think the beauty in what we do is that we're able to finish a book and then we have this asset that we have for the rest of our lives, right? So we can continue to make money off this thing that we created a long time ago. But there's management there too. You have to, if something isn't working, then maybe it was an early book, maybe. And I think a lot of people listening have this situation where they wrote something a long time ago. They've really grown as an artist. They've grown in their craft. They have a bigger audience and they have this old asset that's just kind of sitting there gathering dust. So how do they polish that off and make it something special that a new audience would want to experience?
So our thing was a book threshold, a book that Sean and I wrote together. Do you want to tell the story because you remember it better than me? Why?
That's kind of a blanket statement, right?
You remember everything better than me. I'm just gonna. Why don't you just take over?
Okay, so Threshold was an interesting book in our catalog because it came at a time when it's the second thing I wrote after moving to Austin. When I first moved here, it was like to the wire because it was one of those things where we had deadlines and I wasn't nagging Dave, but
mistake.
I should have been. We owed 47 North the sequel to Z2134, Z2135.
What an original title.
Right. And so I got to Austin and I realized that we did not have a lot of time for our book, and it kind of just the deadline had really snuck up on us and we had no margin. So I just said, okay, I'll write the rough draft for that if you just give me beats. And so we kind of reversed the roles. And I started and I tore through it. Z2135 wrote really fast and we worked really well together for that book. Dave would give me the beats, I'd write the rough drafts, he'd edit them and then give them back to me and I'd polish and off to our 47 North editor so they could leave the typos in. And then
Awesome.
So
do you guys want to do the next ad read for 47 North?
I kind of do. So anyway, that was just a really positive experience. And then after that was done, Dave was planning to write Crash. And I said, hey, this is a great idea. You can write Crash and we could basically have an A story and a B story. You work on yours, I'll work on mine, and then we'll trade. And so, yeah, that sounds like
this might have worked if you didn't require me to write the beats for your story. Like if you
so you don't remember this part of the story?
No, awesome. I don't. So go ahead, tell it.
Okay, I like that little twist. It's a good idea. So what happens next is I write the beats, not like full beats at all. They're like it's a 500 word pitch basically. Like it's where I usually start when I'm like the very, very genesis of an idea. And the original pitch for Threshold was a lot different than what it became. The original pitch was basically Panic Room with demons. So you've got this like group, this family who is stuck in this room and there's a gate to hell and they're just trying to stay alive and keep the gate closed before all hell comes.
Do you guys think this is basically how Dave's family lives every day?
Yeah, totally. I do. So it was like, I felt that was a real claustrophobic setting. It could be real exciting, take place in a very narrow window of time. So I write out this, this pitch basically, and I send it to Dave, and Dave's like, do you remember now?
Yeah.
So Dave says,
I did it to myself.
yeah, Dave says, oh my God, I love this. I kid you not. I'm not even adding this for drama. This is actually what happened. He says, I love that so much. I think I want to write that instead of Crash, which is no reflection on Crash or Threshold. It's just Dave. He always wants to write whatever he's not writing. So I said, well, he's like, how can I take part in this? I said, well, if you want to write the beats, I'll still write the book, but you can, because he was having a lot of ideas. And of course, his ideas completely changed the very shape of the book. It became something.
Well, you're right. You had what you had, I didn't feel was good because there wasn't enough there and you hadn't figured out everything. So one of, I think, my skills is seeing what's missing from something and adding to it. But when I added to it, the things I added weren't like what you had. I changed it up completely. And then, like, I thought, we were making it better, but I thought you could do it on your own after that. And I think you didn't see the vision.
Nope. You're remembering history wrong.
All right, maybe.
Okay, so we got into actually mapping it out, and Dave did change a lot, but it was for the better. Like, I liked the story concepts that we were coming up with. We had a long meeting, and then he was going to get me the first few chapters. So he gets me the first few chapters, and they're all beat out, and they're good. And I start writing, and I'm really happy with this. And I'm like, okay, this is just like how we did Z. This is going to go well. And to be clear, Dave did not map out all of Z 2135 ahead of time. It was episode to episode, which is kind of how we were handling Threshold. He just needed to stay ahead of the beats. So I get into the story and I don't have any more beats. Like I write fast enough that I pretty much exhaust his beats pretty soon. And then I'm floundering because I keep asking for beats and he's like, they're coming. I wait like 2 months to get more beats. And then I'm halfway through the story. I don't know what's in his head. I don't know how to end this. I'm totally on my own. And then and I'm trying my best to get through it. And then I finally just give up and like write the whole thing myself, and I hate it. And then I pass it to Dave. I'm like, okay, I need your help. This doesn't have enough Dave in it. We need to figure this out. There's a couple.
And I'm like, I'm trying to fucking write Crash.
Yeah, and he's just like so resentful that I'm putting this on his desk at this point. And so
I'd say this is probably the only time in our history that I think we've kind of, I wouldn't say we didn't get along. We've always gotten along, but it was close. You probably were pissed at me, and I know I was a little pissed at you, but we didn't really get in a fight. But
no, I wasn't pissed at you. I was just like, okay, well, it was just.
I thought I had given you enough and had shaped enough of it that you could go and run on your own. I didn't realize by me changing so much that you would require me to do more. I thought, okay, I gave you a really good start. You can run with this. But I think when I changed stuff, I changed the relationship on that book, and I was required to see it through to the end. And I didn't want to be at that point. Like, I felt I did my part. Here, take it. You can make it awesome. Let me get back to my book. Like, I did it to myself completely, but I was still resentful.
All right. So I've never, that book has never quite sat well with me. Like, I've always felt like it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't enough of us, because what makes Collective Inkwell books special is that there is deep collaboration there. Even if one person is writing the whole draft, the meetings and the ideas, like it's so collaborative. And so Threshold just didn't have that collaboration to me. And so it's just always been my least favorite Inkwell project. And so that's how it's relevant to this conversation. We were looking at that and we were thinking, okay, let's look at our assets. Let's look at our library. Are we proud of everything? If not, how do we address it? And we decided to unpublish Threshold, rework it, get a new cover, fix what was broken, get Dave and me both excited about the project again, and re-release it. So that's what we did. We've done it. Johnny and I have done it with several projects for release next year, I guess. And I think that it's something that a lot of working authors, do. And we've given the advice before a bunch of times that, like, what do I do if I don't think I'm good enough and my writing might suck, and we say, hey, like put it out in a pen name, right? If you could put it out in a pen name, and then if it takes off, great. If it sucks, no harm to your actual moniker.
I was going to use your pen name, Logan Rutherford.
That's a really good one. I'm going to write total garbage and put it out as Logan Rutherford.
I was going to do superhero orgy stories.
Yes.
I think that if you do that, and then all of a sudden you learn your craft and you have a better name and you've established something, you could go back and take those early pen name books and maybe recraft them, get new covers, new descriptions, and republish them, especially because there's not, they probably didn't have really big audiences. So anyway, this is just a discussion about what do you do when you have these old assets and you need to make them marketable. And it might not even be
going at old asses.
Your old assets.
Okay.
Butt exercise.
I think the timing does work for Dave. It may be a little early for you and me, Johnny. I think this works for Dave, though.
But he's not actually happy. He's giddy. It's different. It's like being lightheaded.
Yeah.
So I think that this is something that every author can look at their catalog, and if they've been working for years, especially, and for us, we're going into it's our 5th year or 6th year. I'm not even sure. 5th year
For us.
Yeah, I think we
started in 08, but officially writing in
11.
That's 11.
Yeah, so we're going into our 6th year actually, which is that's a long time, right? And so we do have this.
You had your 7-year itch long before that, cheating on me with Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
I did. I suck.
That's okay. Actually, he cheated on me with Christine and Jamie.
It's never been cheating. We have open relationships. We're polyamorous. This is different. Anyway, I think that whether you're looking at changing the story craft or you're looking at changing simple packaging things like cover or product descriptions, there are ways to get more mileage out of your old assets. So I think we could talk about a few examples from me and Johnny later, but let's start with Threshold. Like, what are some of how did you start that, Dave? Because
how did you approach it is maybe even a better way to look at it. Yeah.
I started reading it like a book that I would read from somebody else, and to see what I would enjoy, what I didn't, and I started reading it, and I was surprised by how much I liked, because like my memory was kind of shady on it. Like I didn't, because I don't really read our books after we're editing stuff. I kind of like try and forget about them, and maybe someday later I'll read it, and because I hate reading my own stuff because I just see what's wrong with it. So, but this is
I love that I'm exactly the opposite. I want to read my own stuff. Oh, it's my favorite author.
Guy with the abs. So yeah, well, because if I do that, I'm just gonna be like, oh shit, we should have done this different. We should. Can we edit it again? So this is actually sort of a treat for me that we are going back to edit it. So it was a situation where I was actually looking forward to reading it, so we can figure out what was wrong. And I was delighted with how much actually worked and how good the characters were. I thought some of the dialogue was stilted, and that's my fault for not being more involved in that part of the process. And we fixed the dialogue. We added a few scenes to make to build the tension just right, and because it's a haunted house sort of story with a twist, and it's different than what Sean said. We don't have a gate to hell. We have a gate to something, but it's not hell. But you don't really know what's going on until the end, and I'm not going to ruin it here. But when you do find out, to me, when you find out the ending felt very. It didn't feel deliberate. It
felt rushed.
Yeah, and it felt like something like a twist without.
And you can't rush an ending. Like you just right. That's well said, Dave. A twist without a reward. Like that's the thing. A twist is fine, but it has to be earned. Which I think is when Shyamalan started getting really shit on. It's because his twists were just like it became about the twist and not about the journey there.
Yeah. And to me, that was where the story really fell apart. And one of the things, if you're going to go back and review your old stuff, definitely, read reviews. The reviews for the book weren't actually bad. I think a lot of people felt similar.
My review was.
yeah. But there were people that had issues with the end. And we actually asked in an email, because somebody had written to us something, and we had asked what they didn't like about it, and it was kind of in tune with what we thought about it as well. So like it just confirmed the weaknesses of the story. So we fixed it, and we went back through. I mean, it was basically like rewriting some of it, editing a lot of it, and just making a new ending. We didn't completely change the ending. We added stuff to it, fleshed it out, made it rewarding, gave you character POVs that weren't in there before. So I think it really came together, and I'm really proud of it. There was a comment here that I wanted to address. It got away from me. Beth Farrar said, if you don't read after you publish, do you ever forget what you wrote? And if people talk to you about something they love, you go, see, that's the thing about writing. When you're editing so many different stages, like I don't remember what made it and what didn't make it to the book sometimes. And that's kind of like my fear is that we take off like in such a way that we have like we're at some Comic-Con or something, and when you have the kind of fandom where your fans know everything about your book, like they know fucking everything, and I'm up on some panel and they ask me a question about something and I'm just blanking, like I don't remember that fucking person. That's like my fear.
I love that your fear is about how successful you might be.
Well, then I'll have to go back and read everything, or I'll have to have some like Cyrano in the wings, like whispering to me, okay, yeah, Dave, that was Baricio Wolf. He was a serial killer in your book. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just have to kind of when you're reworking old stuff, you have to approach it in a different way. So it's like, how did this miss the mark? Why did this miss the mark? Is it because the writing wasn't good enough? Was it because it wasn't attracting the right people? So like Cursed is another example from in-house, right? We're reworking that. We're going to re-release that next year. It's, it started out as Chupacabra Outlaw, which is stupid. Clearly that's aiming for the wrong reader. It's a horror novel. Like it's dark. It's tense. It's scary. And so it's violent, and none of that is broadcast with the name. So that was something that we had to rework by changing the name, changing the covers, getting it back out there. And we're reworking it yet again to make it a more complete experience because we think that's what's missing. So you have to just look at it holistically and say, what is it that my ideal reader would be looking for in this particular product? And if you're missing the mark on anything, whether it's a quality story that is going to convince them that you are an author worth paying attention to and that you have other books worth reading, or it's just simple as the packaging and you've missed the mark because you put this out there. And then another big question that you have when you're reworking something is, well, do you unpublish it and republish it as a new thing, or do you just update the file? And that's a hard question to answer. Like there's a lot of variables.
Well, one of the issues there is if you're updating the file, good luck getting Amazon to tell readers, hey, this book can be re-downloaded if you already bought
do you
it.
want to tell the Available Darkness example?
Where they wanted to know examples?
Yeah, so this was for Available Darkness season 1, excuse me. Yeah. And we did a significant rewrite of that too. Actually, it wasn't a rewrite so much as this was the first thing that we'd ever written together, and it really needed some cleanup, like basically. So we didn't rewrite it in regards to the story. None of the story elements changed, not a single one, but we really cleaned up the copy. So I would
like to do that with Yesterday's Gone season 1.
Yeah, well, we have Whisper Sync there, which
I don't even care about that anymore. I don't think the people care. I don't think people listening on audio are also reading it.
That's true, and I am okay with that actually. Like I think
do that
once we have the time, once we can afford the time.
I think they're doing it, but maybe not in enough numbers to outweigh the desire to re-edit it.
Yeah, and that is probably the weakest thing we have out there now that we've fixed Threshold. So that would be great.
For Available Darkness, we emailed Amazon and said, could you please update because we want people to get it for free, the update for free. We don't want people to have to buy it again. I don't even think you can buy it again if you already own it either. You're basically stuck with the edition you bought. So Amazon, okay, what changes did you make? Like they wanted exact instances. Like what the fuck? I got like thousands of changes.
Yeah, no, it was
Oh, yeah.
literally they asked for examples, and this wasn't like customer service. This was actually an in at Amazon. So this was like a higher level, and they were still they wouldn't change it, and I pushed, and they said, okay, let me see examples, and so I showed them the track changes edition of it, which sucked because I did it in Scrivener. So I actually had to import all the copy into Word and then show track changes through there.
Didn't die.
And
That only happens if you make little pencil graphics.
and then they could totally see, and there was, I think, like, I'm gonna guess 3,400 changes, like a lot in the draft, and you could just see on every single page was like all the red that you can see all the changes, and they still wouldn't update it. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what you need then, because they said we'll only do it if there's significant changes. I don't know how much more you can get significant than 3,400 alterations in the book.
Maybe if you added a dog.
Next time, we should have just told them we added a dog without actually doing it. So,
Hold on. There's also a dog.
We have a dog named. Never mind.
So yeah, I think that really because you want to do what's right for your reader too. So if you don't want a reader paying for a book twice, for sure.
Tammy Lebrecht said she had 10 chapters, I guess, left off or something, and updated, and they didn't apparently think that was enough.
Yeah, like, so clearly, let's read between the lines here. Amazon doesn't want to update, and they're not going to do it regardless. And if they say we need significant changes, that's just them having a reason to say no.
What if you have a scene that takes place in an alien bar and you change who shoots whom? Change that.
Okay, so Matt says,
mastered edition.
So Matt Larkin says, I took a story from 8,000 to 48,000 words, and they said it wasn't a substantial change. Okay, so clearly we are not alone in this bullshit. So,
I think that they just don't want to do it, and they're just
right. Exactly. That's exactly it. So
yeah, the only thing that we've really done this for, and it's kind of a ball buster on this because I've done some reworking, and there's nothing that I have to show for it yet. But the only thing that was significant that's going to be coming out in any reasonable amount of time is the LOL line, which was, I believe we completely unpublished those. I don't think those are up at all.
We did
anymore. Yeah. And so basically that had to do with project scope rather than trying to refine what it was.
Ultra project.
What'd you say?
Sounds like one of those secret CIA MK Ultra project scope, like a brainwashing program.
Project scope as opposed to project creep. What was the creep one? There's a creep one.
I think scope creep. Is that what you mean?
Right, scope creep. But we changed so for instance, we did Space Shuttle, which is Dave's favorite, and
Decoy wallets. Oh wait, no.
Decoy wallet was minorly changed because we just kind of wanted to make it a little better. No, we didn't. All I did was read that, and I said it's fine. Sean,
yeah, I was concerned about the ending, and so I just wanted Johnny to read. Actually, I think this is deeper than you realize, because in 2016 we did spend a long time, at least if not completely changing stuff, at least evaluating it, right? Evaluating it for the marketplace. So LaFleur is another one where,
the edit on that was so minor, but yeah, that changed.
Right. So Decoy Wallet, I was just concerned about the ending, and I asked Johnny just to read it and tell me if it worked. And he read it, and he's like, yeah, that's fine. And then...
But we also did the Space Shuttle, Everyone Gets Divorced, and Greens were originally meant as serials. And what we decided to do was that we actually did 3 totally separate things. I don't think I touched Space Shuttle at all because it's going to stay a serial. Like, we unpublished it, we'll republish it, we'll write a season 2, but that's all it is right now. It'll continue as a serial. But for Greens, we decided that tells a whole story. It doesn't need a season 2. So I went through, and the major thing I did was to add a new final chapter that just ties up some loose ends, and then seeding throughout the story that agrees with that finality, basically. So like pre-closing loops that we had opened, we close them earlier, we don't open them. And, leading toward the finale. And then for Everyone Gets Divorced, what we decided to do was that was going to remain a serial, but it was going to be a 1-season serial. And what did we add? 3 new episodes?
Yeah, well, they're almost, well, I guess they're still episodic, right? Yeah, we added 3. It was originally 6, and we added 3 more, but it made it a full, now it's just a done book.
Now it's a story, which actually makes sense because that one was telling the story of this divorce, and that's just kind of one event. And it's like, do you string out that divorce story for, well, you could do it with How I Met Your Mother, I suppose. Just take years and fucking years and disappoint everybody trying to tell
which was the original pitch for Everybody Gets Divorced. It was How I Met Your Mother meets Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But Johnny's right. It would have just been so drawn out. So we just took 3 more episodes and
should have added a yellow umbrella.
Finished it. And we did LaFleur was originally written as Lexi, and that's where we're reshaping that. So we just had to take out some of the
it was such a
it
minor
was so
edit.
minor,
It was
right?
Barely an edit. It was like just refine. I mean, so minor that I don't even want to hesitate. Sean mentioned it in Slack, and I was like, that doesn't even count.
But it does in the way that if people are looking at their catalogs and saying, where do I have opportunities? Right. And I think that's what this is about. Like, look at what you've already published. And I think it's really easy to think, oh, I published that 3 years ago, it's dead. Like, it's not selling, it's dead. But maybe you can, like, LaFleur is a good example, because even though there wasn't even restructuring, these were very minor cosmetic things that made it more our thing than Lexi's thing, which it never should have been Lexi's to begin with, because it wasn't even a dirty book.
It wasn't remotely close to a Lexi thing, so it'll be a Platin Truant title. Speaking of older stuff, didn't we? I don't want to say names because I just don't. But someone we know just hit a list, and wasn't that an old title? Like, what? I just skimmed it. I didn't have time for email this morning, but wasn't that something that had been around for a while? I thought, with a new cover and a new push. If
it's what I think you're talking about, I don't think so.
Okay, well then forget it.
Oh, but Amy does think so.
Yeah, I think so too. So the point is, hit a list with a title that was a revitalized, push. And yes, I mean, there was a book bump, but that said, it's still a push. Like, a lot of people forget about him.
And this is one of those things that it's not indie publishers aren't the only ones to do this. I mean, for Dean Koontz, Dean Koontz now, sorry.
Dean fucking Koontz.
Dean fucking Koontz, dude. Get it right.
Like, his books.
We should bring back him calling into the show.
Well, like, his books came out, when I found them in the 80s or whatever, and they were hitting big. And then there was he just got super popular. He blew up, and they started republishing all his old books. They added new covers. I don't know if they edited them or not. They may have, I'm not sure. But they also started going and publishing books he had written under other names. I think he was discouraged from writing multiple genres under his own name because of publisher fear of diluting their sales. So he wrote a lot of other weirder sci-fi-ish, more sci-fi sort of things and other stuff under all these different names. But once Dean Koontz was a fucking name that they could sell pretty much anything, let's bring back some of your older books and publish them with this name and do that. So what do you think the best reason somebody has to do this? Is it just because they're a better writer now and they want to fix their book? Or do you think marketing? And when should you just not bother? When's it not worth it?
Well, that's a great question. I think that it's always worth observing, I think. And I think the big driving factor is understanding. I don't think it's about being a better writer or a better marketer or anything. I think that if you spend a few years, immersed in something, if that's writing and publishing, then you should get naturally better. Your instincts are better. You understand who your ideal reader is. Like, look at when we wrote Yesterday's Gone, the first one. We didn't know what we were doing, right? I mean, we were making it up as we went along as fast as we possibly could. And so we didn't know who our ideal reader is. Now we have a much, much clearer idea. We know that CI, despite the darkness, we actually have a lot of female readers. We're just much more clear on who we're talking to. And we're also better at our craft. And we also understand the marketplace more. And we understand, what kind of covers and descriptions are going to convert. So we have a lot of reasons to revisit our catalog. And we should. It's just smart to take a big deep breath and look at it and say, okay, my skill set, because if you are a working author, then your skill set should be constantly improving. You should be getting better and better and better. And so you're naturally going to look at the marketplace and your catalog differently 3 years later. So just don't forget about those old things that you did that may, they may deserve to have new life breathed into them.
Yeah.
As far as the Amazon's concerned, I think that maybe the reason they don't want to update books is they want to discourage shitty writing. They don't want writers to just put out anything. Oh, I'll fix it later, like that.
I don't think that's their reason.
Right. Amazon wants to discourage shitty writing. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I can buy that reason. But I think it's just it's worth asking yourselves questions and not taking anything for granted and thinking, how can I improve what I'm doing? Not just on the craft level, because that is a thing in the indie community. It's write more books and write them faster. And, we're certainly, responsible for some of that. Right. Yeah. And I get that, but it's also like you also want to follow it up with iterate and optimize. You want to look at your catalog. You want to think, is my catalog earning me the money that it's supposed to be earning? And we looked at our catalog and there were a lot of blank spaces. There were a lot of, mistakes made with the Lexi brand. We hadn't done anything with LOL. And there were a couple of stuff, in-house that we could shape differently. And so we did. 2016 in many ways was about preparing for 2017. And a lot of that was looking at our old catalog and making better decisions.
I'm noticing a natural pause. I would just close to say.
I was putting something in chat. You guys said something about my internet connection sucking, and I'm looking up and I see Dropbox is fucking around, but I'm not.
You better pause that. Pause Dropbox.
You know what I'm super excited about today? This could have been something cool. Maybe I'll save it. Well, no. It's Apple's announcing new laptops today. And I've been waiting for over a year for this. I'm so excited.
Did you see Microsoft's yesterday?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that
laptop
is what Apple should be making.
No, I didn't see a laptop. I saw a desktop and all in one.
Yeah, that thing is fucking beautiful.
Oh
my God.
Yeah. But I am curious to see what Apple unveils today. And I've been my laptop does not sync properly with Dropbox because the hard storage is just.
John pulls shit out of Dropbox.
Yeah, and it frustrates Johnny.
And I'm just like,
yeah.
And it's not just me. It's like Robin will be like, well, I guess I'm not compiling that.
Yeah, it's the worst. It sucks. So
that'll be nice.
So yeah, not only have I been waiting for this for a year, the company
create a competitor to Dropbox because we don't have enough we're doing.
we have one in the Beam. It's called Evercrunch. They're awesome. All right. So is that it? Have we exhausted the topic?
Yeah, I was just going to say that the expression usually from the consumer side that is, if you haven't seen it before, it's new to you. I actually just saw a post that Julie was saying she just finished Breaking Bad. And I'm like, Breaking Bad is the best. Like, you haven't seen Breaking Bad, but the point is, like, that's been gone for a while and it just became amazing to somebody. And so the same is true of your books. Like, just because you wrote a book a long time ago doesn't mean that to somebody who's never seen it before, even if you're just putting a new cover on it and that's it, and it just suddenly looks updated and the book inside is exactly the same if it doesn't need to change, don't give up on your old stuff is all.
And I'm surprised. Like, I would think that by now, Yesterday's Gone.
Oh yeah, this just happened actually.
Like I feel like everyone that could possibly have read it has read it already, and we had a book club, and I didn't even look at the numbers, but I know like it jumped up.
It was 10 free in the store, and Dave sends us a
higher
Slack.
than that. I think it was up to 7. I just didn't look at the actual numbers we sold because I don't have my login for my dashboard now. But,
Dave.
Yeah, I lost everything. But I mean, a whole bunch of new readers, and like, holy shit, that's been out for years, 5 years now.
And it's so funny because Dave is just like, he just can't believe it. He said, I can't believe this. Hasn't everybody read this? And no, that's just not how people are still buying Carrie, dude. Like,
yeah.
Right? It's always like that. And actually, this is a really good note to end on because I think this is a pain point for a lot of authors too, is that when you have this catalog of back stuff, there's some things that, and we're absolutely guilty of this at both CI and Realm and Sands. we've got open boxes with sequels that we don't really want to write, or we want to write them, but it's just not as exciting for a series where there's an active audience, right? So like Unicorn Apocalypse is something I really, really want to write. And it's very hard to get Johnny motivated when Unicorn Western is kind of dead, right? So Robot Proletariat is another one. Like I love that story, but we have several more books to write. So we've decided that we're going to write them all in a row at some point. And when we do, we're going to relaunch Robot Proletariat 1 and 2. Same with For Nevermore. When we eventually do that, we'll re-release For Nevermore 1 and then 2. And then so we'll try to make it new to our list. So a lot of people who are on the Realm and Sands list have not read Robot Proletariat.
With Westworld doing well, people might like that. Like it might be like a good time.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. So anyway, just really look critically at your catalog and you know, ask yourself those questions. How can I make this better? How can I make it? What did you just say, Johnny? New to someone else?
Well, if you haven't seen it before, you haven't read it before, it's new to you. Is the way that goes.
NBC did something like that when they I forget the exact way they did it, but it was something like,
yeah, like that.
Like they would re-air shows like on a different night. Like if you haven't seen it, it's new to you. It's like this big advertising push. It was really weird.
But it's even more true of books because books aren't dated in the same way.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it is you can watch an older TV show, even if it's like Breaking Bad isn't this way. But if you watch something from even 10 years ago and everyone is, well, maybe a little more than 10 years ago, but everybody in the world is on corded phones like right away. Or the resolution will be different. But in books,
Alpha's on it.
You just or so fun, stuff like that. So anyway, I'll just conclude by just reminding you guys about the Smarter Artist Summit. I know we do our stupid bullshit ad reads, but this is going to sell out. There's kind of no question. It's already about 2/3 sold out of the total capacity, and it's at smarterartistsummit.com. Make sure you're there to see Dave dragged up the aisle like an unconscious bear. And you're going to want to see that. I mean, it's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Well, except for next year. So thanks for listening to the Self-Publishing Podcast. And if you're live, stay tuned. We're doing another one in just a minute.
Yeah, thanks, everyone, for being here.
Bakes asked how many tickets are left. 86, Amy said.
All right. Peace out.
Well, no, we don't go anywhere. You just
right,
have to stop the recording.
All right, now I'm stopping it.